and that will fold in half around our knife blade. There's the knife in its new sheath. In this week's video, we're going to make a knife sheath for this knife. So in a previous video, we restored this knife, and then in another video after that, we made a leather sheath for it. Well, we've gotten some experience under our belts since then, and we'd like to make a sheath that's a little bit better for this one. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to make it out of leather, and that's going to be made out of buffalo skin leather. So let's get started. All right, well, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to make a pattern, and that's going to be on paper. We're going to do a fold over style, so we're going to start by tracing the knife. I'm going to get my paper up near the edge of my board, and we're just going to trace the blade to start out with. Alright, now I'm going to take my knife this way. Cutting my ink pen a little bit. Now we need to widen this a little bit. We need a place that we can sew it. Place for our stitching to go. Alright, there's our pattern. We're going to cut on this outermost line, and that'll leave for our stitching. So next thing to do is cut it out. And when we cut it out, we want to be just outside that line, not really racing it, but just outside of it. And we'll line up our tip and our outside edge. There we go, that's how it fits, right inside the line there. Next thing we need is a little piece that will go in the middle here and sandwich between these. That gives us a little spacer for the blade. This one we want to be a little more exact on, so we're going to cut right on that line as much as possible. Hey, are you entered into our drawing? So for our new website, we're giving away hundreds of dollars in gift cards to the website. On February 28th, but then again on March 31st, we're going to have a drawing on each one of those dates. There's 16 names going to be drawn, so that's 16 opportunities for you to win for each drawing, for a combined total of 32 chances to win. We have a video with all the details. I'll link it up top and also in the description down below. Check it out and enter to win today. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do that as well.
The next thing we need to do is cut out all our pieces.
The leather we're going to use today is a bison, and we're going to make our sheath with that. Alright, so we'll just lay that down there, and then we'll take our pattern and we'll put it on there, starting on an edge, because we don't want to waste any more than what we have to. So we just use a utility knife for this, and just be very gentle, careful, and slow, and basically just cut around the pattern to cut it out. You don't want to press hard, and you don't want to go fast. You want to just take your time. Otherwise, you'll end up with some nasty cuts. You don't want to slip off in the wrong direction. There's our main piece, and that will fold in half around our knife blade. Now we need to cut out the little piece that goes in between. This little piece should be very similar to this part that I just cut out. So I'm just trying to line it up and see. All right, there we are. That's how it's going to fit up. Now before we sew this together, we need to put a belt loop on it. And the way our knife is, we have quite a bit of offset here. So we're going to have to take a block of leather. We're going to use something a little thicker and block that out, and then have our loop that comes up and around. So I've got a nice thick piece here. I'll use that bit of scrap for that. So we have this little piece, and we need to make sure that it's approximately square. So we're just going to measure it, and this looks like a pretty straight line. So we'll come down, an inch and a half on either side. Square that up a bit. Come down this way, inch and a half, and 3. Get all the way through on the first cut. So those will sit on top of each other, and they are a little bit different. So I'm going to attach them together, and then I'm going to cut them again. That'll make our spacer. Now the question is, how much loop do we want to come up from the knife up the handle? Well, we'll lay the knife on there, and I think I'd like it to come up at least to this area. So I need my tape measure for that. We'll come up to about there, and we'll come down behind the blade there, an inch and a half from the top. So it looks like 6 1/4 inches long. But of course, my piece is only 12 inches, so it's going to end up being 6 inches total. All right, there's our line, and now I just need to cut on that line. All right, now we need to put our spacer block on there. So we want this to be looking like this, and we want our spacers on the side here like that. Okay, now that I have that cut, I'm going to put my holes in where I actually want them. I'm going to cut this on an angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my holes on an angle. I already have these ones started, so I'm just going to go from there and go back diagonal toward the corner. And I'm going to do the same thing this way, just aiming back toward that corner there. Then I'm going to line up this hole with that one, and I'm going to end up with a little triangle shape here on the back. Make sure everything's aligned properly. Okay, now I need one more. I'm just going to move this over into the next hole and do like that to get my other one. And there we go. We'll have that little design in the back. All right, now I need to transfer all these holes onto the bottom spacer. I'm just going to do it by poking through each one. And that'll show me where to put my hole punch, and then I'll punch it. Now we need to just get this transferred onto here. So this is the exact opposite. So I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to flip it to this side and put my holes in. We'll go around and punch them in. All right, we have some wax thread here. If you have wax thread for leather, that works great. If you don't, you can use a heavier thread and wax it yourself. Almost forgot, I need to punch my holes onto the main piece because we're going to sew directly onto this all at the same time. So we need to sort that out. So which side to be the front on this? I think this will be the front because most people are right-handed, and you'll tend to have it on your side this way. So this would leave this side facing the person. So now I need to get my holes transferred onto here. So I'm going to just take this apart a little bit and just going to push through every hole to get my holes into the sheath. Now, I did say I was going to trim that to a certain shape, and now would be the time to do that. So I'm going to actually put these together with a couple of punches just to hold them. Now I'll just kind of hold those, and I need to trim these so they all kind of line up. And as you can see, one is a little bit longer down there, so I'm going to trim that as well. Our pieces are basically how we want them, so now I'm going to just line them up and get started with my thread. So we'll come from the inside of the sheath. I'm going to start at the bottom, and then I'm going to thread these on. Alright, getting through that thick leather. I'm going to need the pliers. Alright, I just need to go down through the next one, and it's going to be a little bit more tricky to do. Now, sewing this many pieces together, I would allow it to be very loose so that I can see what I'm doing, so that I know I'm getting in the right hole. So I'm not going to make this really tight. I'll tighten it up whenever I'm done. There's the next hole, and the next one there. Okay, now I'm going to try to tighten that up. Now that they're tightened up, it should just be a matter of going back through the same holes then that are already aligned. So it should be a little easier. All right, there we are. We're back to where we started, and just a matter of tying this off. So this would be a perfect time to put a little leather sticker over that to protect that, so when you put the knife in and out, that it's not slicing. As we can see, the loop does not line up perfectly. It's off slightly there, which means it will be on this side as well. It doesn't show up so much here, but it's this side, it'll show up more. So I'm just going to pull that out right, just like that. I'm going to trim that ever so gently. It doesn't need much at all. I don't want to cut into the other one. I don't want to cut my piece underneath, so I need to be very, very careful here. Now I'm down to the block, which will be easier to cut. Take my time, make several passes. There we are. Now it aligns. So now that that's sewn on, time to fold this over and sew the edge there. Well, I think the first order of business is going to be putting our holes in, get our spacing the way we want it. And the way we're going to do that, we're going to punch it, and we're going to start basically about in here. I like to leave some space at the end because I don't like it to tear out. Pop that in there. Then we get to the end, we can't go full all the way out, so we'll just step it back what we have to in order to get as close as we can. We got our hole. We could use a hole on the end right there. Actually, if we go up full width this way, there we go. We got that one in the end, plus all our holes coming back. Now we just need to transfer these to the other side and also to our filler piece. Okay, we've got that punched, and for our spacer, I think that's actually too thin in this leather. So I took a piece of this thicker stuff, scrap that I had, and we're going to use that. And I've cut that to shape already. Now I just need to get my holes punched into this. Alright, looks like I'm ready to sew that together. I thread the needle there, and sewing leather, it's not quite like other fabric. You leave a few inches hanging there, but you don't do a double strand going through, because you do a saddle stitch, you come back through the same holes. Okay, I'm going to start my stitching down in here, and I want my knot on the back. So I'll start here and fold this over. Find the first hole and push on through. I'm going to go kind of loose to start. My spacer is going to go in here, but it's not going to come back. So I don't want to be too tight to begin with. I can always tighten this up in a few minutes once I get that spacer started. Alright, I'm down to the tip, and it's time to get this in there. That thicker leather is just tough to get through. Even if you punch the holes, it still kind of closes up a little bit. Well, my daughter did quite a bit of the stitching, got us to the end. Now I need to start stitching back. All right, now it's just a matter of, came out this side, now we'll go back down the holes on the other side. All right, so I ran out of thread. I'm sewing my way back. I'm going to say it's maybe 4 inches left that needs done. So I'm going to tie in another piece now, and I'll start it, and then I'll tie it to this one, and we'll have a knot here in the back, and then we'll continue all the way down to knot down here. I just started the next thread through the next hole, and now I'm just going to tie off right here. They're good and tight, and I'm not going to trim these tag ends until I'm done sewing, and I've got this in here nice and tight. So I'm going to pull it a little bit. That'll pull the knot into the next hole just a little bit, and then I'll just continue going. Well, if you were paying attention and thinking, as I get to the end there, I might not make it all the way around. I was thinking the same thing. But had just enough to get there. So now I just need to tie a knot in that, and I'll cut the tag ends off, and I'll go back and cut the tag ends back here. And now it's just a matter of trimming it up. So if you can see, this doesn't quite line up exactly, as I said, it never completely does. So I need to trim that just a little bit. Okay, and also our top, this sticks out a little bit, and you remember it wasn't completely straight. As I said, it wouldn't be anyways when we're done, so it's very close, but it needs trimmed up. There we are, there's our sheath. Bumps out on the side. Now if I wanted to add a snap, I would just sew that in here and clasp, I guess, to go around the knife. All right, there we go. There's the knife in its new sheath, and there's the belt loop. See the offset for the loop, and that'll hang down like that. I thought about putting a clasp on it yet. We'll be putting that up for sale on our new website, 9diamondranch.com. Check it out if you're interested. That's it for this video. We'll see you on the next one. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We put out new videos every week, every Friday morning. And if you'd like to receive notifications when we do upload the next video, hit that notification bell. And check out our channel. We have several videos just like this one or very similar. We do various things including hiking, biking, boating, fishing, builds of various kinds, mostly outdoor activities. Some homesteading is thrown in there as well. This channel is for the experience. We do these things for the experience of doing them and to show others how you can do it too. We try to be fun and entertaining while being educational all at the same time. Sometimes these experiences are done for the first time, and other times they're things that we do all the time. Sometimes we do things just for the fun of doing it. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one.